And let me just explain, I guess, what this series is about. This class is on the 5 stressors. It's actually the last class of the 5 stressors. I'm combining 2 of them tonight. And in the previous classes, I didn't really explain the importance of these 5 stressors, so I'm going to explain this now and what that means. Okay, when I say 5 stressors, I'm basically talking about the 5 things that are affecting people's ability to get well. The 5 things interfering with people's health. Now the flip side of that is there's also people are having nutritional deficiencies. They don't have the basic building blocks and nutrients they need for health. But these are the 5 things that we could call like interference that are causing people not to be able to get well. So I've already done the heavy metals. We did heavy chemicals. We did food allergies and food sensitivities. Which basically what that comes down to is what you're putting in your mouth, is that actually food or not. That's why we have sensitivities, because a lot of the stuff we're eating in America isn't really food. So we talked about that last week. And then tonight we're talking about scars, and we're talking about immune system challenges. Now the reason this is really important, these 5 interferences, is because they can affect the entire body. So in other words, they can affect the entire nervous system. That's something I check for when I do testing on people. If it's affecting the entire nervous system, any of these 5 stressors, okay, what that means is, and I haven't explained this in a class before, is that you can take all the greatest supplements on the planet, okay, you can take things specific for what your problem is, you'll never get better. You'll never get better. Okay, you can go to the doctor and you can take medications. The medication won't work. So he goes back and he gives you another medication, and that one doesn't work. Okay, well let's try this one. Anybody know that has happened to anybody you know?
So you never get better because?
Because you have something affecting your nervous system that you haven't addressed.
Okay.
And it's one of those 5 things.
So you've given us 3 of them. Are you going to talk about
tonight is scars and immune challenges. The 3 were the prior 3 classes. So this is really important because, you know, people go get a high blood pressure medication and it makes them feel worse, or it doesn't lower their blood pressure, and the doctors keep trying different ones. I know people have literally tried 6, 7, 8 medications and none of them work, and then they call them a non-compliant patient and it's the patient's fault. That's what's happening. It's really sad. And that's because they don't have the knowledge or the information to figure out what's going on with that person. So it's always their fault. You know, it's in your head, or you're not doing something right, or you know, it's never the doctor's fault, right? So so these things are interfering with our nervous system. And then there's also there's one more step to that. There's a blocked nervous system. There's also something called neurogenic switching, where the nervous system's actually switched or confused. That's when you'd actually take a supplement and feel worse. Okay, so people have a problem with, I don't know, whatever, their sinuses. They take something that would normally help sinuses, it makes them feel worse. Okay, that's a switched nervous system. Now, these can also show up, these 5 things, these also can show up in affecting specific glands and organs. Okay, so the first thing I do, again, see if it's affecting the nervous system. Okay, if it's not, what I do is I go through and I check the different glands and organs, and if I find a gland or an organ that's weak, it's usually, not always, but it's usually one of these 5 things. Why that organ isn't well. That liver isn't well because there's an immune challenge. There's a scar stopping that liver from getting well. There's chemicals or metals in that liver. There's food you're eating that your liver does not like. Okay, so it's usually these things. Now sometimes none of them show up and you just have a tired, worn out organ. That can happen too. Okay? And you can do something for that, of course. You can do something for any of these things. But I just wanted to kind of give an explanation of why these 5 stressors, these 5 interferences,